number one way that your body begins to break down and start to cause issues is because these toxins, these parasites, these yeasts are saturating the detoxification organs, which every day are saving you and preventing disease. That's number one. Number two, the thickening and coagulation of your blood, okay? All of these things will cause your blood to be more thick and viscous, and also cause your blood to coagulate and stick together. And when your blood starts to coagulate, this is what creates blood clots, okay? Blood clots lead to strokes, they lead to heart attacks, they lead to DVTs, they lead to pulmonary embolisms, and all of these things could be fatal on the first time, okay? The thickening of your blood is what's leading you to be chronically fatigued as well too. Because now that your blood is so thick and now it's coagulating, okay? Because your blood can coagulate and not actually create a clot that causes a stroke or a heart attack. So keep that in mind, all right? And when it starts to get thick like that, that means that it's not circulating the way it should be circulating. When your blood isn't circulating the way it should be circulating, that means that oxygen isn't getting where it needs to go. That means that nutrients aren't getting where they need to go because they're in the blood. This is where the chronic fatigue is coming from as well too, all right? So that's number two, all right? Number three, all of these things will cause you to have deficiencies. Parasites eat away at your nutrients, okay? When you eat, they eat first, okay? You get what's left over. No, you don't even get what's left over. Because after you eat, then the yeast, after the parasite eats, then the yeast eat, okay? The candida eats. Okay, and then the bacteria eat, and then you eat, you get the leftovers. This is what's leading you to malnutrition. This is also what's leading to, issues of deficiency as well too. And put on top of all of that, you probably don't have a good diet to begin with. Just, being honest. So deficiencies, when you are having a lot of yeast in your body, a lot of toxicity, a lot of heavy metals, your body is doing a lot to get rid of these things, to change these very toxic chemicals into less toxic chemicals. That takes a lot of resources. So it depletes you. And this is what leads you into a lot of deficiencies. And when you have multiple deficiencies happening at once, this is what dis-ease looks like. Anemia at the same time as having vitamin D deficiency, and magnesium deficiency, and vitamin B12 deficiency, okay? And also being deficient in water, so dehydration, all of these things. These multiple deficiencies is what causes you to end up having a stroke, end up having all kind of other issues, high blood pressure, okay? So many other issues as well too, okay? And to be overweight as well too. When I see somebody overweight, what it says is that you're malnourished. You may be eating a lot of food, but you're not eating food that is highly nutritional, okay? Because if you eat, listen, this is proven. If you eat a whole bunch of very healthy food, first of all, you can't eat much of it. That's the first thing, because it has so much fiber in it. This is why I could take some teenage kids, right? Let's say some boys in their prime, 16 years old. I could pick 2 Big Macs and whatever comes with the whole supersized meal here. Sit it there, they'll eat it all up, okay? I put a big bowl of salad, and let's say, hey, if you eat this salad, the whole bowl, I'll give you $1,000, okay? You put that whole bowl, and I'm talking about a hearty salad too, not just lettuce and tomatoes and avocados and things like that. I'm talking about with a little bit of quinoa, some chickpeas, the whole runnings. They will not be able to eat that big bowl of salad. Too much fiber. And fiber send the trigger to the body to say it's enough, okay? Whereas, food that doesn't have nourishment in it doesn't have fiber, doesn't have those triggers in terms of like the nutrients, okay? So hugely important. Deficiencies will come when you don't do anything about your heavy metals, your parasites, your yeast, your mucus that's constantly being accumulated in the body, all right? Number 4, leaky, inflamed dysbiosis in the gut, okay? I know that's a whole word, but your gut essentially becomes leaky, inflamed, And dysbiosis just means that there's an overgrowth of the bad bacteria and not enough of the good bacteria. Okay? When that happens, you're in trouble. Because health begins and ends in the gut. Okay? The reason why it ends is because when the health of your gut ends, that's when your health ends. That's when you start to see the health problems. And so the heavy metals, the food chemistry that is inflaming the gut, that's causing the gut tight junctions to become loose, the excess mucus that's being produced as a result of the excess inflammation. Okay, so the mucus is actually just trying to help. But at the end of the day, there's so much inflammation, flames, the mucus is putting out the flames, that it causes the gut, those gaps, to become bigger and bigger. This is what makes the gut leaky. And this is what leads to autoimmune conditions, lupus, multiple sclerosis, Hashimoto's, thyroid issues, rheumatoid arthritis, the list goes on and on, all right? So you're going to have gut issues when you don't face these issues of parasites, yeast, mucus, heavy metals, toxicity, etc. Okay? Number 5, brain issues, directly connected to brain issues, okay? Heavy metals will cross the blood-brain barrier into the brain, okay? All right, all of these excess sugars that people are consuming, especially most of these sugars aren't real sugars, they're synthetic sugars. That's why it's over 200 different names for sugar today, because they're chemical sugars. They're just changing the chemical structure of the sugar and changing the name so that when you look on the label, you don't even recognize the name, so you don't even know that it's sugar, okay? Elevated sugar levels in the body in general elevates inflammation. But when it's elevated in the brain, this is when you're seeing the issues, okay? This is why they call dementia type 3 diabetes, okay? They're calling it type 3 diabetes because it's elevated levels of blood sugar in the brain this time, okay? So hugely important. And this, my friend, is what leads to ADD, ADHD, autism, Alzheimer's, dementia. Okay, hugely important. Okay, it's not just the sugar, but it's also the heavy metals. Okay, hugely important. All right, causing all of this inflammation that's cutting off the connections in the brain and the signals in the brain. Hugely important. All right, number 6, cellular damage and metabolic corruption. Okay, it corrupts the metabolism. Okay, so all of these things will cause cellular damage, okay, which causes aging, okay, which also affects the DNA inside of the cell as well too, which could lead to mutations, okay, which could also change your metabolism from a healthy metabolism to fermentation. And that fermentation metabolism is what opens the door to cancer, okay? DNA damage on top of changing your metabolism to fermentation, that opens the door to cancer, okay? Think about all of the foods that people are consuming, that all they need to do is look at the label, okay? Look up the ingredient. I guarantee you, if you did that for a week, you will find at least 25 foods that are known carcinogens, okay? There's a whole list of meats that are carcinogen. There's a whole list of compounds that are used in soaps and shampoos that are carcinogen. There's a whole list that people have access to knowledge just to look up and know, okay? But, I mean, to be honest with you, you guys are smart. Like, you know the food you're eating isn't good for you, okay? You may not know specifically what it's not good for, but a little bit of research and the age of information, you will find out very quickly. This is why the cancer rates are, when I say exploding, are exploding. This is why everybody knows somebody with cancer now, okay? And it's not just those heavy metals. It's not just the food chemicals that I just mentioned. It's not just the refined sugars and the refined carbohydrates as well too, that's shifting the metabolism, but it's also the parasites as well too. Do a quick search and just put in cancer, parasites. You're gonna see this long list of things that come up that unfortunately your doctor would never tell you about because they didn't teach us this kind of stuff, okay? Number 7, all of these things make you overeat and food addicted, okay? The parasites in the yeast are often controlling your taste buds. You don't even know it. Okay? They're the one that's waking up at night telling you, I want something sweet, and you think it's you, but it's the parasites in the yeast.